Good evening, loveys. How are we? I'm here fighting for my life against technology, but we've made it. And I think I got some great stuff for tonight. So let's giddy up, my loves, because we're going down a rabbit hole with Hank Brennan, Adam Lally, Chair 2, Ms. McLaughlin, C3, and the star of the show, the pencils. I feel like we could psychologically unpack the pencils at a different time, but I digress. Now, let's see. Humans, are you here with me? What, if anything? Babe, look at Lal. I feel bad. It's making me sad a little bit. But I'm so happy that you all decided to, I know that there's way more fun things going on besides me. But babes, this got me all jazzed up. You know how I am. So bear with me. We're not going to be obnoxious with the testimony because I have all pinpointed. I've got 4 pages of notes for us to go over. And babes, you know what I did today? Because I just felt like it was necessary. I pulled out one of the big books. And this is one of the big books in which little old Nurse Kim, okay? This is one of my workbooks. I don't know if you can see this. Okay, find it. It's a thick, she's a big babe, okay? And this was part of my training for only diabetic wounds because I don't know where the other big book is. But when I tell you that I am an educated queen in the matters of wound care, I am. Thank you. Nationally certified, like our queen, Dr. Marie Russell. And we're going to put some respect on her name because she deserves it. So, all right, get your jazz together and your pen to mark things off because only lunatics use number 2 pencils, and that many in one period of time. Okay. Hi, Ernie Birdie. Thank you for being here. Romy, I brought out the big book. Okay. She's ready to rock and roll. Make up your mind. We love a bitch that comes with receipts and education. Oh my gosh. What are we doing right now? I'm so excited. This is bringing me everything. The person who has done this, whoever is behind a tag or a screen name of Hank's Pencils, you are my human. I would like to discuss this later. I love you. And we have V Carletto too. She's in the house. And I also love that sloth because listen to me. If nothing else we learned, babes, it was that there was not a pack of wild animals that may or may not have been coming at Officer John O'Keefe on January 29th, 2022. And we're about to wrap this all together in a beautiful pink bow. Okay, Wendy Joe. Hi, Lovey. We'll talk about him later. And Mimi. Oh, just kidding. Hi, Mimi. Oh, I do have my pearls. Where are my pearls? Oh, babe, I need to find the pearls. Oh, this can't be pearlless. I'm going to do that at intermission, Mimi. We need our pearls for tonight. Then we've got Reggie Ray said, I missed the cross. I was in the pub. Was it as humiliating as I hope it was? Reggie Ray, that's what we're going to watch together because cross was only at the very end. So it's we have an hour of testimony we're going to do. And that's where the excitement comes up because we know our queen. We know our queen, Dr. Marie Russell. She doesn't need an introduction. We know who she is from trial number 1. But when I got to see, Skanky Hanky, I was a little verklempt. I clutched. I didn't clench, but I did clutch. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Oh, I love it. Loving Retirement has brought her own pearls, he or she's own pearls. And LL says, made her gasp when he questioned her honesty. Oh, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Look at those pencils and think about your own lives. Okay. Oh, sunny days. You don't like the beard. I don't think I have one. Are we talking about AJ? I like his little scruffs. But, you know, to each their own. I understand that there are a lot of ladies that don't love it. Okay, yes. Hank's Pencils wins the internet for today. I'm unwell. Ooh, I love this. Taking the red eye. Thank you so much, Lovey, for your super chat. We're going to get rolling. I apologize, but I want to send Dr. Russell a Christmas card. I love that. Let's do it. Do we want to do that? Can we do that? Is it legal? I feel like it is. Maybe we could look up her information or send it to maybe Mr. Yanetti's office, and then he could get them to her, because I think that she would really love that, because she's our queen, our kind, empathetic, compassionate, educated queen. All right. Now, before we get started, babes, I just want to go over with you, because I know, you know, we know, because we are each other and we get it. But I wanted to give you a brief overview of just who that bad bee is. And that bad bee is one Dr. Marie Russell. Okay. And she was qualified as an expert witness in our first trial number 1 of Commonwealth V Karen Read. And we know that she went to MIT for 2 years. And then, unfortunately, you know, so tragically, her mom got sick with cancer, and she had to take some time off of her college education. Then she went back to Northeastern part-time, and it took her 4 more years for her to get her bachelor's in science. Then she went for her doctorate programs, and then she was board certified and had 2 different residency programs. First was her ER residency, and that was 4 years total with her internship and her residency. And then she also did anatomic pathology for 2 years. She is still board certified to this day. Today, she holds board certifications in emergency department medicine and also anatomic pathology. Just wanted to remind you, just a reminder who she is. I'm obsessed. Also, she is able to practice, which I didn't know this from the first trial, or I don't recall it, babes. Do you remember that she said that she was able, she has board certification and has privileges to practice in Massachusetts? Because she's primarily out of California, but she also has a couple of other states, I think Iowa. And I can't remember the other ones, but I know Massachusetts and California for surezies. Then we know that she did a fellowship in forensic pathology, and she did 1 to 2 autopsies per day. 3 snaps for Dr. Russell. Then she was also in the correction system, and she worked at the LA hospital. It was like LA General Hospital. It was 19 floors high, and she was that queen. So that's just a dabble. Oh, also sidebar, she was the first Malden police officer, a female police officer to ever grace the streets. Okay. She's taken classes in defensive wounds or defensive investigation, or what she was saying, not defensive. Investigation, crime scene preservation. She knows more than all 4 of the people on your screen right now in her right hand. Okay? She is an incredible, educated, put together, and magnificent queen. She had proved herself worthy of expert status, in my opinion, by the time we had gotten to, I don't know, like the first break. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys agree? Hold on. I just got to find 1 extra tab, and then we will be cooking with actual gas. What am I doing? Okay, nope, that's good. All right, leave it alone. Oh, she's not a karate expert, though. Absolutely, Romy. That she isn't. And she also may not know how to embroider. I don't know. I just heard it through the grapevine. I love this. Vermont Bread Smith says she has forgotten more than those three would ever know. As it relates, medically speaking, absolutely. And there was a couple of parts where Hank, listen, I wanted to hear him. I wanted to see everything, right? I want to see his style. I wanted to get as much of a feel for Mr. Hank Brennan as I possibly could. Why? Because I'm a creep, babe. I like to see the shit. I'm ready. I'm like, give me a preview, Hank. And babes, I just got to tell you, I was like, okay. If you could rate Hank Brennan on a scale from A to F for his performance today, he only did an hour and Elise did, 5 hours. But what would you say Hank Brennan's score, graded system, old school, A through F, what do you give him? And then we'll do Mr. Elise. But for right now, let's Hank it. Oh, Tracy. Oh, low. F. Hank's pencils. I trust you the most. You happen to know more about him internally and externally. Sunny Days hit him with a D. F for Kathy Benes. Letitia also says D. I love it. Oh, we got the bliv. Got it giving us a Z because that's OB. D minus, absolutely. And Cursey Nursey M says he's skilled, but I hate him. Now, everyone's opinion does matter when we're seeing this because we're the public perception of everything. And Hank knows this. Hank knows a lot because as we remember from way back in the olden days, he was Whitey Bulger's defense attorney. And he has been a defense attorney for a very long time. He's been out of prosecution and he took this case on as, I don't know, maybe a favor to Michael Morrissey, because when we look at these faces, this says it all. What about this team, right? Is this looking like a joyful team to you? The pencils are happy. But is my homeboy Lal? I don't think so. All right. Hi, Land. Hi, Adam. Oh my gosh, we have a boy in the house. Woo! We're killing it with this male demographic. Oh my gosh. And Joseph Kane. We got Buddy Love, genius mob lawyer. There he is. Look at those eyeballs. I can't. All right. Now, Ernie Birdie, let's give some hearts and let's get ready. We're not farting. Let's go. How do I do this? It's already presenting. So what am I doing? Oh my God. All right. Don't make it weird. And we're going to play, babe. Again, this is afternoon. This is the last part of the day. We're going to go through things that we've learned. Should we do that first? No, we'll go through all the other things, but I want to get through this. And then I'm going to tell you my Easter eggs, because there was things, babes, when I tell you, you are not, if you don't know, you're going to know. If you don't know, now you know. We learned it. We're picking things up. We are we're Swifties now, okay? And we're following this, and she's giving us all the shits. And she's going to tell us exactly where this is going. And then I looked into that book, that dog bite book that Hank Brennan suggested we all read, because how dare we not? And some of the references included in that book were Air Bud, the movie Poltergeist. What else was references from the book that good old Dr. Russell should have had known about, right? There was a couple. Oh, Poltergeist, the movie, was also referenced, okay, in that dog bite book. And also, I know this may burst the bubble of those whom love the Commonwealth, but not one doctor authored it. Oh, Hank, I thought there was a little bit more that I was going to be able to get out of you, honey. But don't worry, I'm right here. Okay. Now we're going to do. Oh, geez, where is she? Do. Okay. Let's get ready to rumble.
In another section, there's other holes.
Does what is depicted on Exhibit 10 a pattern in your judgment?
Not specifically, no.
What, if any, conclusions do you draw from Exhibit 10 pertinent to your testimony here today?
Well, with that image in conjunction with the picture of when he was attacked.
And how do you reach that conclusion?
Well, again, the holes, the holes are rather small, which would correspond to holes created by a tooth, or in this case, maybe multiple teeth. And they are in the area of the arm, or the area of the body that corresponds with the wounds.
Have you ever in your career, either as an emergency room physician or a forensic pathologist, ever had to assess wounds in which the victim was wearing clothing?
Yes.
How many times would you estimate that you had to, or that you did make an assessment of wounds when the victim was wearing clothing?
Probably over 200 times because clothing examination is part of the examination conducted by the forensic pathologist in the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner's Office.
And did you, in fact, as a forensic...
Boop, boop. We're going to stop, do a little zoop right here, babes. This is very interesting that Dr. Russell tells us that in the LA County Medical Examiner's Office, that they are responsible for the clothing examination. And we're going to find out that there was a couple of things that were missing from Dr. Irene Squirrel Belly is as the captions, the closed captionings tell us. She might be a little squirrel belly, but Irene Squirty-Bello may have not documented clothing items like they do in California, and that is kind of in the OCME of Massachusetts. That is part of their job as well. And I know all the information about the OCME, and I've talked about it, the Office of Chief Medical Examiner in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, multiple times. We're going to go into that as well.
Pathology in Los Angeles make assessments of wounds in forensic pathology with regard to a victim that was wearing clothing.
Yes.
Did you ever make that assessment in connection with dog-inflicted wounds of any kind?
No, I don't think so.
Are you familiar with whether, strike that. Did Dr. Squirty-Bello in her autopsy report make any assessment of the clothing?
Ding, ding, ding.
So I'm sustaining it. You can ask her differently. You can ask it differently.
Dr. Russell, do you recall any discussion in the autopsy report assessment of the clothing that the deceased was wearing?
I don't recall.
If we show you the autopsy report, that's in your recollection.
Yes,
Do you have it with you still?
I do.
Go ahead. You can take a look at
Yeah.
it. Doctor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Pressure.
Let's see. Is there a particular location you'd like me to?
Your Honor, I am not able.
I'm going to go to this page. We're going to go to this first, babes.
A description of this.
Thank you for the leeway, Mr. Brennan, and Your Honor. Now let's, if I could, Your Honor, publish Exhibit 11.
Okay.
Exhibit 11. Ready to black out.
Do you recognize Exhibit 11?
Yes.
What is it?
Also, when we're looking, we're going to stop that. Do you see that report right there in front of Dr. Russell? That is the entirety of Irene Scorti-Bello's autopsy report. It seems, pretty thick, but not as thick as I've seen in several other cases in the Commonwealth. But I just wanted to make a point of that for a reference, guys.
It's the back portion of the same hoodie.
Same hoodie. Did you assess the back portion of the hoodie as depicted in Exhibit 11?
Just by the photograph.
Yes. Did you reach any conclusions with regard to Exhibit 11?
Nothing.
Was there anything relevant that you determined from Exhibit 11?
Not that I recall was.
I'm so sorry for the volume, guys. That's as high as it's going to go on my computer. What do I do? Crud. Why is it not putting the subtitles on? Off. Subtitles. English. Click. What? Do this. Is that English? Is it Englishing? Oh, press play, woman.
And was Exhibit 11, in your judgment, necessary?
Oh, no.
Assessment of it necessary to render the opinions and conclusions you have testified to here today?
Click. I'm trying. Oh, this is going to not be good, because we know I'm not great at this. I'm sorry, guys.
Well, you should. I mean, the person should look at all the evidence. Yes.
Right. And so after having looked.
Okay, listen, I'm so sorry about the volume, babes, but I can't change a stream to save my soul. And I also don't know why the closed captions aren't coming up. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Click English. I already have that on. Oh, here we go. Update. Dismiss. Oh, no. Oh, hold on, babes. Bear with me. I got to put me here. What? Oh, good golly. What am I doing? Who am I? Okay, now let's try to do this.
Sure. Having looked at Exhibit 11, what is your conclusion as to whether it informs the question of the nature and source of the injuries?
It doesn't help.
It's not letting me do
With
it.
regard to number
I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I'm sorry, guys. All right, we're gonna put this back on.
So this is a close-up of one of the holes.
Oh, but we got to go back.
Is on the.
Oh, this is a nightmare. I'm sorry. Okay, I wanted to show you this first. This is very, very interesting. What do we see? We're looking at the back, the posterior of the hoodie, of Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie. And when we're looking at all this staining, right? All the staining that is coming down from, from the hood all the way down. And then at the top side here on the, I guess that would be the left shoulder, all the right side, and at the bottom near the waistband. Why is that interesting to us? Now we're doing like medical school 101. That is very interesting to us because that lets us know again that how in the good Lord would Officer John O'Keefe have that type of blood on the back of his hoodie if he was not in an upright position for an extended period of time? Because we know that he didn't have any injuries, lacerations, abrasions to his what? His trunk. Anywhere on his trunk. That's either the front or the back of your upper body, right? That he had none. All he had was, we were going to have to assume, if we're assuming, medically speaking, it is possible that that came from what? His blunt force trauma to the back of his cranium. That 2.5-inch laceration and skull fracture. But it's just very interesting, because if you're going to take the word of Trooper Paul in his assessment of a side swipe from a 6,900-pound vehicle, the Lexus, he sideswiped, he pirouettes, and he strikes his cranium on the ground. That's impossible. Because we know that that strike would have rendered Officer John O'Keefe unconscious. And yet, his blood, sure as shit, did not travel all the way down to his pants, to his jeans, his set of jeans, right? His pair of jeans, not a set of jeans, you wackadoo. So we know that he was in the upright position when he sustained an injury that caused him to bleed before he was not alive, clearly, right? So this is ante-mortem while one is living. Thank you, loveys. I'm just saying, Matty Wags, because we know, Max, absolutely. So that was big doings for me. Next.
Render the
Livia, I'm on a
opinions
what?
and conclusions you have testified to here today.
No?
Well, you should.
Love
I mean,
you.
the person should look at all the evidence, yes.
Right. And so after having looked
Everyone
at
should look at
Exhibit
all the evidence.
11,
We thank you.
what is your conclusion as to whether it informs the question
No, illegal.
of the nature and
Thank
source of the injuries?
It doesn't help.
With regard
Also, who just said this to me? Rachel, we don't slap a lally. What we do is lob a lally, okay? And then we right hook a Hank. We call him hook a Hank. Okay. Sorry.
to number Exhibit 12, Your Honor, if I may have
Okay.
that published.
Woo, woo, woo.
Do you recognize
Oh.
Exhibit 12?
Oh, she's getting the owl out, babe. We're owling now. Listen to me. Look at this. Look at this number one. Oh, and I have an overlay for you. Why? Because I hashtag can't stop, won't stop. And this overlay, I'm about to medical the shit out of this. Okay. And you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. And why did no one say this in the first trial? I don't think it was asked specifically, but today when Dr. Russell brought this up, I said, oh my gosh, she's our champion. She is our queen. And this is why. Babes, when you see these, and we're going to see it on, I believe, 8 or 9 of the markings, of the 13 markings, I want you to see this area. And when we're seeing the drag and the pull and the snag, if you will, right? A pulling on the fabric. I was like, wow, she nailed this one. That means that this is an exit wound, or it's exiting from the fabric versus going into the fabric. We know this as we see it in our gunshot wounds. Gunshot wounds, gosh, forgive us. But if you've ever seen maybe on House MD or I remember specifically this is an old school one, but Saving Private Ryan, when one of the soldiers, God bless him, got shot on the battlefield, you saw this little baby hole in the front that was bleeding very heavily. And the boys, all the soldiers were putting pressure on it, right? And this is before they gave him his ampule of morphine and whatnot. But they're putting pressure on it, and it's just this little tiny baby hole, right? And they're like, you're going to be fine. They roll him over, and he's got an exit wound this big on the other side. And that is very classic it's very classic with any kind of projectile, any kind of wound injuries that do have an entry and an exit. The exit is always going to be larger than the entrance. And we also know this in a fabric form because those strands, these strands all right here, guys, would have been going into the fibrin would have been going in towards the body, in towards the underneath of the clothing, right? The underneath side versus pulling away. Now, can that happen with a knife? Yes, it can, because if you are stabbing someone and you pull the knife back out, of course, you could have fibrin coming out. If you like I said, if we had a GSW, a gunshot wound, there would have been the fibrins going in on the front of the shirt, and then on the back, the fibrins would be pulled, tugged like such. Scissors, any sharp object that you are doing a motion that is in and out. And what else? It would be a bite mark from a canine or from any animal would provide the specific fibrins coming out because, guys, the animal is going to bite, whether partial or complete, and then they release. You are the releasing of the human in this case would result in those exterior fibrins as if it was an exit. So there's an entry plus an exit. What else do we learn? That obviously Officer John O'Keefe would have put his arm up in a defensive way to say, that's just a natural human reaction. Oh no, hey, no, thank you. Chloe, no biting, right? And that would have caused the snag, because if he's pulling his arm away and there is pressure on the fabric going this way, you are going to have it stretch out. Mind blown. I'm obsessed. Thank you, Dr. Russell. You are that bitch. Now, I want to show you a picture, because just so that you can get what I'm saying as it relates to something going inward versus the exit. And this is it. Is this going to be weird? I don't know what I'm doing. There it is. Ha! Do you see that, guys? Does this make sense? Jason Smith, babe, I'm happy you're here. You don't you worry. I'm just thrilled that you are here with me. Miss Jess and B, thank you so much for being here. And exit only. Oh, Taryn. Oh, that's what she said. Oh, okay. Exactly, Maddie Wags. That was a little bit fresh. A little fresh. But thank you, Reggie Ray. That absolutely makes sense. So when we're seeing this photo that I have in the overlay, babes, because I can do what's called an overlay, because maybe, just maybe, she is an internet sensation and she gets how to work it now. Just kidding. But so we see those fibrins and they are going towards. It is internal only. And then when we look at this, find a way out. Okay, find this one, Scooby-Doo. And when we see this, you see the complete difference, right, guys? In those two images. I'm obsessed. Now, let me correlate it to this specific case. Bring it all back together, Kim. We've squirreled around town. You've got 17 pencils, Hank. And what we find is this, that Officer John O'Keefe, if polycarbonate taillight of Karen Read's Lexus had spontaneously combusted due to a sideswipe at 24.2 miles per hour, those pieces of taillight would have only gone one way, penetrate in, not being taken out, because they only go in one direction per objects in motion stay in motion, and there is no turn. Like there would be no exit from either a scissor, a stabbing, a bite, anything else. It only was going in one direction, and it could not say, ew, I don't like it here, let me get out. She just gave us, guys, it. If you were looking for something that said, okay, how did this happen? Also, I do have to correct the record. I was wrong because I don't have as much, I do not clearly have as much life experience, expertise, and medical opinion, because I believed that at least a portion of those injuries on Officer John O'Keefe, although they follow specific patterns and shape, the linear patterns that she was describing, I thought it was scratches. I was like, oh, I don't think that like to me, but obviously I only have my certification, my wound certification are for traumatic wounds, are for decubitus ulcers, which we call pressure injury now, which is like bed sores from the olden days, surgical wounds. That is my certification. So I don't have any of the clear years. So I apologize to our queen, Dr. Marie Russell, that I was incorrect, because I thought for sure they were claws. And she has told us that I think that she thought one set may have been claw, but then after further differential diagnoses, she was able to come to the conclusion that no, babe, that was a full-blown large dog attack. Yes, absolutely, Island Girl. The doctor is an amazing mentor. And then we have, he did ask about the holes, and she told him, yes. And here it is, Tracy Violet. Where is all the taillight fragments? There are none. Also, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts really screwed the pooch, as my Australians would say, when they told us that there was microscopic fibers of microscopic pieces of taillight found embedded within Officer John O'Keefe's clothing. Wrong answer. No, there wasn't. There was a 1 by 1/16 piece. Yes, but your eyeballs can see it. You know what microscopic means? Only to be seen under a microscope. So you're wrong. Oh, doesn't that burn, you stupid asses? And also not to just directly shove it right up their badonkadonks, but they also additionally only noted those small pieces, a few, on the undershirt of Officer John O'Keefe. And guess what, babes? Wouldn't have done that. It wouldn't have been only on his orange shirt, his t-shirt. It would have been embedded, if anywhere, in his hoodie. So to that, I tell you, we have established reasonable doubt in this case. We have established a great deal of it. And I demand that we throw these charges out, and she is, and Karen Read is going to be free at last, free at last. Hanky Panky's pencils almighty. She needs to be free at last. I loved it. Okay, let's listen back to our queen from out of town, Dr. Russell.
Yes.
What is it?
So this is a close-up of one of the holes that is on the right sleeve of that hoodie, in the, the part that you can see from the anterior view.
The anterior view, but is it the
Oh, what is happening?
anterior or posterior of the arm?
It could be it could be posterior, because you only get it depends on how it's worn, basically, and how the material lies, the way it's photographed. So I meant anterior view, meaning the picture, the first picture we saw, which was generally the anterior view of the hoodie.
What assessment did you make, if any, with regard to Exhibit 12?
Well, it's a small hole. It is consistent with a puncture created by a small object, such as a canine tooth. And it appears that some of the fibers are actually pointed outward. Some of the clothing fibers are pointed outward from the wound, from the hole, rather, from the hole.
And did you draw any conclusions with regard to this exhibit?
This exhibit, plus close-ups of some of the other similar holes with the fibers pointing out, means that whatever inflicted that hole also came out of the hole.
Yeah.
Whatever inflicted that, did you reach a conclusion as to what inflicted that hole, or as you've referred to it as defects previously?
Yes, these are consistent with dog bites.
If we could publish, Your Honor, 13.
Okay.
Thank you. You recognize 13?
This image?
Yes.
Yes,
What is it?
similar to the other. It's just it's in a different location on the arm.
Did you make an assessment of what is
Is this the Rich Schiffer? If this is the Rich Schiffer, I just wanted to say congratulations, sir. And justice was delivered for you this week. And I pray that we continue in the right direction. I'm so sorry that you had to go through what you had to go through. And, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. And you are just a wonderful man. And I know that you have a family and a business. And I'm so sorry that you were put through everything that you were, sir.
depicted in Exhibit 13?
Yes,
What is testimony?
I believe this was inflicted by a dog tooth, a canine tooth. And again, the fibers are pointing outward.
Do you see that, babes? Look at all those tugs.
That assessment. How did you reach that?
Well, it's generally small and round. So, and the canine teeth are the teeth that stick out the most when a dog bites. So this is consistent with a canine bite.
Your Honor, may I have 14 votes?
Yes.
You recognize what is depicted on Exhibit 14?
And now
Yes.
we're looking over here, guys.
It's a
I just
similar
wanted to
wound
keep us
on the arm
to
area,
see a few of
of the
these
hoodie.
things.
but this one won't have this. Excuse me, hole, similar hole, except it's a little larger in one dimension, and
A similar
given that
hole.
cloth has some stretching capabilities, and there was movement between the victim and the dog. The stretch was caused by the tooth
How did you determine there was some movement between the victim and the dog?
because he was alive and when these were inflicted, and it is normal behavior to move, and also just the configuration of the wounds we discussed earlier. There was some movement around the elbow area.
Your Honor, may I have 15 votes?
And again, Dr. Russell is just telling us that that is normal behavior. You are going to throw your arm up for defensive, right? Protection. We need to protect ourselves, oneself. And an animal by nature is going to try to tug on you as well. So that stretching, that tug, that those fibrins 100% would be consistent with a canine tooth.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you recognize?
Look at this
the
one.
evidence depicted in Exhibit 15, Dr. Russell?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
Babe.
It's how do I recognize it? Because the clothing pattern is very similar to all the others. I saw this previously, and again, it is a picture of the sleeve of the hoodie,
Which sleeve, right or left?
right sleeve,
Right sleeve every time.
and it has a hole. This hole is longer than it is wide, and but yet it still is consistent with a tooth entering through there.
And what conclusions, if any, did you draw from what is depicted?
Okay, babe. So now we wanted to see all those pictures. Now we're going to go to We're going to go to 36. I lied. 36. She was doing tricks.
Yeah, so number right here.
Understood.
Oh, wait, I got to
And why
back
do you
up just so
believe
she
it's
tells us if it's
suggestive?
front or back. Ready? Boom. We're on fire with this one.
Are now on 29. I have, it appears 29 is up, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes.
Thank you. Dr. Russell, do you recognize what's depicted in Exhibit 29?
Yes.
What is it?
It's an area of the front of the hoodie that is in the front, the interior of the hoodie, and has two labels showing two different defects, 12 and 13.
Okay, so when Dr. Russell tells us that this is the front of the hoodie, so now we've already talked about the back of the hoodie and that Officer John O'Keefe could have only been in a upright position for those stains, which we know are blood, because when we had the mass crime lab come up and say that there were multiple different samples on the back of his hoodie, on the front of his hoodie, and I've got to get that testimony together because I'm going to make a video for us. But I know for 100% certainty that this has been identified as blood for the bodily fluid in which it is. It's not just DNA, like touch DNA, which we know is on the outside housing of Karen Read's Lexus taillight. That was all that was found. There was no blood in the undercarriage of her Lexus SUV. There was none on a side panel. There was none on the bumper. There was none anywhere. There was no blood on the exterior of Karen Read's vehicle. There was blood on Officer John O'Keefe's hoodie. Therefore, ergo, debunking the Commonwealth's own theory. If he did not strike his head until he was on the ground, which rendered him unconscious, or as the word of the year, incapacitated, it's impossible. And he additionally has blood on the front of that hoodie as well. Call me Columbo, bitch, because I'm on the case. Woo!
What assessment, if any, did you make with regard to what is associated with number 12?
Number 12 is a long defect, and by itself, I can't make any assessment. But
I'm sorry, please continue.
yeah, so but next to, adjacent to number 13, which is another defect that's much smaller, the two of them in combination are suggestive of teeth marks.
Can you put your laser up and down? You said 2. I think I understand.
Yeah,
what
so
you
number
understood.
right here.
Understood. And why do you believe it's suggestive of dog teeth marks?
Well, dogs have multiple teeth, and so multiple teeth can cause individual defects, and the fact that there are two defects in close proximity to one another and oriented in the same direction makes me consider that it's possible that they were caused by teeth.
And are you able to determine a more specific location of where this is on the hoodie?
I might be wrong. I think it's the. No, I can't really say for sure because I don't know if this picture's upside down or not.
So the nature of the picture
Yeah.
does not allow you to make a conclusion that you're comfortable with regard to the location on the hoodie?
Yeah, individual.
Objection sustained to the floor.
Understood. Are you able to reach a conclusion with regard to what part of the hoodie is depicted with reference to the 12 and 13 on this exhibit?
Not from this image only.
In combination with any other image, are you able to reach a conclusion as to what part of the hoodie is depicted by 12 and 13?
If we went back to the overall picture, I could try.
Do we need this answer from her?
We do not, Your Honor.
Okay.
I was actually going to the next one. Thank you. Your Honor, may I have published 30?
Yes.
Thank you. You recognize what's depicted in Exhibit 30.
So this is a close-up of the previous picture of the anterior portion of the hoodie.
Previous picture meaning Exhibit 29, the one we were just looking at?
Yes.
Thank you. And how can you determine that from what's depicted in Exhibit 30?
Well, because there are two defects that are close together. They're labeled 12 and 13. And unfortunately, the ruler covers one part of one of them, but still I can see enough of it.
And what's your assessment of what's depicted in Exhibit 30?
They are consistent with being caused by a dog teeth.
How do you reach that conclusion?
Because they're oriented in the same direction and they're close by.
What do you mean by they're oriented with the laser? What do you mean they're oriented in the same direction?
So they're going, this 12 is going up and down in this image, and so is 13.
Why is that notable to you in reaching your conclusion?
Well, the teeth, in causing a defect, would tear along the same plane. The same. They'd make tears in parallel. Same direction.
Any other assessment you make of what's depicted in 30?
No.
Your Honor, may we publish 32?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Do you recognize what's depicted in Exhibit 32?
Yes.
What is it?
This is a wound, a partially healed evulsion wound of a person's hand between the thumb and the index finger.
Is this, do you have knowledge of whose hand that is that's depicted in Exhibit 32?
I do.
What is the person, do you know the name of the person's hand who's depicted in Exhibit 32?
I think it was Lisa, not Lisa.
Do you have knowledge of how that wound occurred?
Yes,
How do you have knowledge of how that wound occurred?
because I read a report regarding a dog bite incident.
And what did you learn from reading that report about what is depicted in Exhibit 32?
That a dog named Chloe
Oh,
attacked another dog, and in the process, the woman whose hand that was bitten by Chloe.
Can you describe
there it is.
what is shown with regard to Exhibit 32 in relation to dog Chloe?
Hold.
Well, this is
Oh, I'm sorry. Now, here's where it gets crazy, babes. So we have heard from Dr. Russell. She is shown the photo of a healing wound. Now, this wound is not a brand new wound. This has been a healing. It's epithelialization. Okay. It's epithelializing. And we know that it is on its way. It is got granulation tissue. She's going to talk about rolling on the edges, which I actually don't love sometimes when you have a pibbly, which means that the skin is from what we call primary intention of the skin coming back together to heal. If you get a pibbly, which is these little rolling sides, that means that the skin is healing kind of into itself, and you're going to keep having an open wound for longer. So sometimes we like to take like a silver nitrate stick. There's a lot of different things you can do, but it is very important that we discuss that this dog, she recognizes it. This must have been some sort of study, or I don't know exactly where this hand came from, but she is describing that the cells underneath are on their way up, and that this is not in the beginning stages of wound healing, that this is weeks and weeks into the process. We know as wound consultants that there are several occasions where you are going to come in contact with wounds, specifically cats and dogs, whatever it is. I come into, like I was telling you about trauma, surgical, either pressure injuries, and you're trying to heal this wound and come up with an incredible care plan in order to best serve our patients. And you could be doing something for up, to 6 months, even longer. I've had wound vacs on for Christ knows how long, but as long as we're making progress in the right direction, we want to keep going. And that beefy red tissue that you saw, that is healthy and healing tissue. And Chloe was a fresh girl.
It's a partially healed avulsion laceration.
From your experience, well, have you seen these types of avulsion wounds either as an emergency room physician and or a pathologist in your 30 plus years of practice?
I've seen them not infrequently in the emergency room.
Did you say not infrequently?
That's correct.
Is that another way of saying you've seen it frequently?
I've seen them many times in the emergency department.
Have someone who is antemortem or postmortem, or are they alive?
This person's alive. This is an ante-mortem wound, and it shows many, many days of healing, maybe even much longer.
How can you tell that what is depicted in that exhibit, that wound, has, as you described it, many, many days of healing?
That might take years of medical school to explain, but there's the edges. First of all, it's not bleeding. Second of all, there's what we call granulation tissue.
Oh, babes, I'm so sorry. I also, oh my Lord God, hear our prayers. Listen to me. What else didn't I say? I didn't say that good old Chloe babes. What was she doing? She was out probably doing a walksy, maybe going to do the peepees and the poops. I don't know. And Chloe the dog, who they did not tell us the breed, but she got into a fight with another dog. And then her human tried to break it up, but her human was injured. And we know that Chloe Albert, before she was rudely lost in the family, okay, sent away, if you will, to a farm in Vermont with Ben and Jerry, we know that she had had a run-in a time or two on the record that she had gotten into fights with other dogs, and a human was injured in the interim. Okay.
In the wound.
What is that granulation?
Well, that's tissue that the body builds up. Oh, yes. So first of all, this most likely did not appear like this when it was first inflicted. What happened was the flap, there's a flap here. That skin was over here to begin with. But then what happened is that it became detached, and that's called an avulsion wound, where a piece of skin is detached, but not completely. So it still remained intact down here. Now, that area in between, so that, of course, skin contracts as it dries, and that area between here and there heals. The body heals itself, tries to close itself off. So it builds up this, what is called granulation tissue, which is basically new tissue to cover the defect so that infection doesn't set in. And that takes weeks, usually.
What is it that takes weeks?
That healing, that extent of healing.
And so is that wound the same as when it was initially made, or is it different from when the wound was initially made?
Very different.
How is it very different from when the wound was initially made?
When it was initially made, this edge here would be sharper. Right now, you can see there's rolled up tissue here, what appears to be rolled, and that's because it's healing. So this would have been sharper, and the tissue down in here would have been bleeding, or it would have had a crust if the bleeding dried.
Are you able, from this Exhibit 30, to give a range of when this wound was first made in terms of days or weeks?
Well, I think I did already. I think that it was at least weeks.
At least weeks? Alrighty, thank you. We can move that. Thank you very much. Dr. Russell, today you have given various assessments and opinions. Have those assessments and opinions been based upon, among other things, your,
Yes.
and with regard to the same assessments and opinions, have those been based on your 30 plus years as a forensic pathologist?
Yes.
What I want to now move to, and I'm almost at the conclusion of my question for this point. Do you recall testifying previously in the first trial with regard to rendering an opinion on whether the source of the wounds in Mr. O'Keefe's arm were caused by a dog or a large animal?
Yes.
Oh, crud. I'm sorry, guys. Bear with me. I don't know what's happening.
And do you recall what your answer generally was in respect to a question of were those wounds consistent with a dog or animal bite?
Yes.
And do you recall what your answer was?
Generally, yes.
And generally, what was your answer to the question of whether the wounds were consistent with a dog or large animal?
Your Honor, maybe be a reference to prior testimony. I have no idea what specifically we're referring to as far as the applicant.
Transcript, date, where it is.
Happy to give it, Your Honor. May I have a moment?
Yes.
Well, we have a moment. Also, I don't understand if this is
Oh, for the love of God.
an appropriate attempt at prior consistent statement. This should be some.
Okay, we're not going to
For
go
what
into
purpose
prior
are you-
inconsistent statements because she has none. She is the queen. I will say this. There was a question or concern, allegedly, that Dr. Russell said possibly, that it was possibly from a large dog or animal. And now she is saying that it is after further review and her changing her hats, right? Because we wear so many hats in life, babes. She was discussing this as it comes from a medical professional. And she says this to Hank. She also says this to Attorney Alisi. And this is important because I want you to remember, just take a minute and let's turn back the hands of time to Dr. Irene Scorti-Bello talking to us during trial 1, up and testifying. And she said initially that Officer John O'Keefe's injuries were not from a altercation or fight. And then she walked it back on the stand. And she said, well, not a significant altercation or a fight. Then we know that all medical professionals are going to tell us possible. Unless it's not medically possible, but you are often going to hear that something that is possible. Dr. Renee Stonebridge said, yes, it was possible for Officer John O'Keefe to fall on the ground and result in the injuries in which he sustained to his skull, his basal fractures, the radiating fractures throughout his entire skull to his under his orbits, okay, his eyes. And yes, it was possible, but like I said in her review of testimony, that it was likely it would have needed a story or more, like a couple of stories to create that impact and trauma. You're not getting that from a 6'2" man standing and then falling on allegedly frozen ground. Zero chance. It's not possible. You're full of shit up to your eye, up to your pencils. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So, but she's working in her medical brain during first testimony, right? She just finds this case in May. And also, she only had a Boston Globe subscription for 6 to 12 months, not 12 to 18 months, like Lally, like Laba Lally, because he was like, didn't you say 12 to 18 months? What if anything? Blah, blah, blah. And we were like, shut up. No, she didn't say that. But anyway, I digress. You're going to want to put it into, yes, that is possible if there is a medical possibility. It's not just a cover your ass situation. It is the correct thing to do. But as she came into this trial as an expert, and as she is coming in to give her expert opinion on what she believes is likely, is more likely that Officer John O'Keefe suffered an attack from a dog than it is any other differential diagnoses or any other options that she has ruled out, which she did, babes. She ruled out that it was not a self-inflicted injuries on his right upper extremity. She ruled out that it was not caused by another human. Okay? She also has 30 plus years of experience and said, bitch, that ain't from a car. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice day. Oh, you know what? You know what Marie said? She said, Dr. Russell goes, oh goodness, I have something in my pocket and I found it for you, Commonwealth. And that's why those words have changed from possible to likely, because she's an expert for the defense. And I'm an intern, babe.
But in response to preliminary hearing, where you know the rules of evidence are not strictly, the purpose I'm giving this, Your Honor, is not.
We love it. Okay, we're going to let that roll because we loved Mr. Alisi. He is an angel. And I also thought it was kind of adorbs that he was so nervous, and not nervous because he's very educated and incredible and he did a beautiful job, but he was so kind to Judge Cannoni. And I love a man that says, I'd like to get more with honey than vinegar. And I think that she likes him a little bit. She likes him more, 100% more
Sure, I
than
think
Alan
co-counsel should be
Jackson.
able to find it for you.
Yeah, have your
So why don't you
co-counsel
call in
help
and just
him
ask her the
out.
question and
All right. Now let's get to, we know she ends up, oh wait, let's get the last answer.
I agree with that, Your Honor.
Okay, so if you've got a site, I'm happy to look at the page to see if I might be able to figure out where you're going, or you can come to sidebar.
Can
and
I come to
explain it,
sidebar
sure.
with it, Your Honor?
He is quirky, Emily. What, are you going to do the pee-pees? What are we doing? Okay, I'll help you. Oh. And look at this. Oh, I think that oh, look at my team. Look at my David Yannetti. Stop it immediately. Put those dimples away, sir. I'm just a girl. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do looking at that? Stop. Mr. Yannetti. Woo! I'm feeling like spaghetti. Just looking at Yannetti. Handsome. Handsome. Silver Fox. Hi, Cal. How you doing, honey? And look at AJ. Got a little bit of a chops going on. A wee bit of a mutton chop, but I'm into it. Oh, God, that's egregious. I'm on it, Jen. Oh, he's still lost, my sweetheart. Oh. Oh, okay. What are we doing? How we feeling?
Your Honor, if I may have a point of order question with the court.
I'm sorry?
May I have a point of order question with the
Sure.
court? Thank you. As you know, she has prepared a report, and different jurisdictions do it different in Daubert hearings. Is that something you believe Mark was in fact prepared?
Is there a receiving report in evidence?
The court will find it possible and relevant. The court would like
What
to-
is-
So why don't we mark it for identification, and then the two of you talk about it. We'll see how the hearing goes, and if there is, I may well want to see it, but we'll mark it for identification, Mr. Alessi, and then later. See it again. Okay. Really, I'm going to have to come back another day, so we'll have some time.
Yes, A for identification.
Okay, we're moving on to Mr. Brennan. Why is,
Your Honor, I just would like, if I could please note for the record that that report was filed and it's on file with the court as part of our opposition motion. I thank you. At this particular point, Your Honor, I have no questions, and I appreciate the court's patience and gracious allocation of time for me to go through these questions with the witness.
All right, thank you very much. So I intend for us to go until 4 o'clock today, so we'll see how far you get, Mr. Brennan, okay?
Thank you. May I?
Please.
Just one. Sure.
well, drink break for Bev.
You all set?
And we are going to cook it with gas. And let's hear him talk. Oh, what is happening? I'm so sorry, guys.
Good afternoon, Mr. Brennan.
I'm going to ask you a few questions if that's okay.
Yes,
Thank you. You shared with us that you have an extensive history of experience in the emergency room.
yes,
And in the emergency room, you see all types of injuries, don't you?
yes,
You see physical injuries, yes?
Yes.
Emotional injuries, treatments.
yes,
Now, you must have seen a number of broken bones when you were in the emergency room caring for different patients, correct?
thousands.
Arms, legs, toes.
Yes.
In light of your extensive experience in the emergency room, and looking at all of these broken bones, that doesn't make you an expert in orthopedics, does it?
Emergency orthopedics, yes.
Have you ever been qualified as an expert in orthopedics?
No, I've
Isn't
never.
orthopedic
How we feeling? Sorry, guys. Oh, I can hear myself on my cell phone. Lord, hear our prayers. Hi, she's back. She's connected. She's plugged into the wall. All right. So may the force be with you and also with you. We lift our hearts up to the Lord. It is right to give him thanks and praise. And look at these pencils. Now, what do we got to do, babes? I have to find, because I had to everything has redone itself. I got to find the YouTubes and try to put the screen on the thing. Whoo. Am I going to be able to do this in a timely fashion? Probably not. God help me. Previously viewed. Who, what, when, where, why. Scuppity beep bop. If I were the Muffin Man. No. Oh, and maybe we should try to do a different, well, no, then I'm getting ballsy. That's too far. Let me see. That was, nope. That's not that. That's not a bad deedy. 2 weeks ago. Nope, we don't want that. Let's try this. And then I just gotta get it together. Okay, let's say Karen Read. Karen Read. Hearing. Talk among yourselves, my loves. I'll be right there. Will I? Find your way out of a paper bag. This feels good. Let's try this one. Oh, we're getting real. All right, pause. Okay, now get out of there. Now, nope, that's wrong. Okay, now StreamYard. Okay, may the force be with you. I'm going to try to present a screen. Motions hearing. Share it. Now I've got to do the zoop zoop. And I got to put this here. And then, oh my gosh, it's happening. It's all happening, babes. Okay, now what is this? Okay. Then I'm going to full screen this. This is 7 hours, but we're going to crank out. We're going to get us all the way back to where we were. Oh, and we've got little, oh, okay. We also have closed caption for the hearing impaired. Oh, we're almost there. Woo-hoo. Okay, we've got to go till 4 today. Now, let's get physical. Does this feel right? I don't even know if it's right.
No.
You would agree that somebody who's gone through the rigorous requirements of being
She's a hard
an
worker.
orthopedic and qualified, they'd have much more experience in that than you. True.
You're number one,
General
Joseph.
orthopedics, yes. I have a lot of experience in orthopedic trauma related to emergencies.
Have you ever been in any court where you've ever been tried as an expert in orthopedics?
An issue.
Who
But
is-
I'm asking you, have you ever been in any court, state, federal?
Does this
country,
feel like we?
where you've been qualified as an expert in orthopedics?
No.
Has anybody other than yourself ordained you as an expert in orthopedics?
Does this
I
feel
haven't
like
ordained
where we
myself
left it
as an
off?
expert in orthopedics.
We left
I
off.
have a lot of knowledge and expertise in emergency orthopedics.
Has any authority ever recognized you and qualified you as an expert in orthopedics?
No.
Just you.
I haven't declared myself an expert in orthopedics. I have expertise.
You've seen car accidents you shared with us
Yes,
as a police officer
yes,
in the emergency room.
yes.
Perhaps when you were at the ME's office, you saw the consequences.
Okay, sorry, babes. I just have to tell you that when Dr. Russell tells us that she never said that she had like a certification in orthopedics, clearly her her specialties are ER, emergency room medicine, and it is anatomic pathology are her specialties. And you're saying to Dr. Marie Russell that who does she think she is that she can just talk about bones? Like that she could talk about things like bone cancer, that she could talk about things like broken bones as seen in motor vehicle accidents. But she says this, which just was chef's kiss. What she tells us is that she doesn't have that certification, clearly, because she's not, she's not an OBGYN, but if she was in an emergency room, she'd be able to deliver a baby. Okay. And these things are very, very important to know the difference between her being board certified and her having an expertise. Oh, get him, Dr. Russell.
All right.
I did, yes.
Are you an expert in accident reconstruction?
Reconstruction, no.
And when you see the different people that come in with overdoses, whether it's alcohol or drugs, you treat them, don't you?
Yes,
But you're not an expert toxicologist.
I'm not a toxicologist.
Oh, and then let's talk shit and say she's not a toxicologist. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but what she has, her actual anatomic pathology, that certification, when she was doing her autopsies, she would know that she sends everything off to the lab for tox, right? She's clearly not like the hospital doctor who we listen to. Oh gosh, I can't even think of his name. And I used to work with him at County right now. Oh, shame on me. Oh gosh, that's terrible. I can't think of his name right now, but not Dr. Rice, because she has way more experience than Dr. Rice. And at least she remembered, to tell us about things that she's learned, unlike Justin Rice, who got on the stand and didn't remember either patient, either Officer John O'Keefe or Karen Read, and he treated them both.
Just no. But toxicology is a part of emergency medicine. So we have training in toxicology, but no, I am not an expert in toxicology.
I'm not suggesting you're unfamiliar with it or you haven't had experience or some training. I'm asking you if you think you're an expert.
In toxicology?
Yes.
No,
And you've shared with us that you agree you don't have any expertise in DNA.
that's correct.
In fact, you know very little about DNA, don't you?
I would say that's pretty reasonable. Yes.
That's what you said.
Yes.
You mentioned that you are generalizing or approximating the number of dog bite cases you've attended to in the emergency room relative to civilian dogs or domestic dogs. Is that right?
Yes.
And you suggested that you probably.
Sorry, babes. Again, tech genius of the 2024. I just wanted to give a little bit of shit because remember when in the beginning of this, when he's like, yeah, you've seen patients come in drunk on drugs. And I was like, drunk on drugs? Wow. You could be drunk on alcohol, but drunk on drugs? Never have I ever, sir.
We treated about one dog a week over a period of 27 years. Yes?
Yes.
This is 1,000 weeks in your estimation.
Yes.
You worked for some of the most busiest ERs. Was there a lot of patients every day that you treated?
Yes.
On average, how many patients would you treat in the ER over those 27 years on a daily basis?
Daily, I would think about 30.
So if you're treating 30 patients a day over the course of a week, and you consider that in the context of 1,000 weeks, the amount of dog bite cases that you treat in the ER is about half of 1%. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
No, you lost me on that.
Okay, sorry. Well, if you had one dog bite case a week, let's say you had 20 cases a day, 100 a week, that would be 1% of your patients.
Oh, it could, yes, yes, but it's the number of cases, not the percentage that was asked of me.
I'm just asking.
Also, not to be a bitch, but when he times everything by 5, thinking that an emergency room physician worked 5 days a week, just wanted to tell you, Hank, that's not how that works. Depending on the hospital and facility and practices and protocol, what they do is they either work 3 12s or sometimes they can do 2 24-hour shifts. You should have asked her how many days per week she worked to get your half of a percent.
Okay, I just want to clarify that.
So you said how many? 25, 30 a day?
Patients, yes.
So that's less than 1% of the cases that you treated in the ER were relative to dog bites.
Okay, that's reasonable, and that's average, actually.
Now, when you treated cases of dog bites in the ER, you said that you would sometimes have the reporter, the person injured or somebody with them, tell you it was a dog bite.
Yes,
Yes? And sometimes there were communication difficulties, or there was a reason why they couldn't share it.
yes.
And then you suggested that's how you treated this pattern recognition skill, is that you would have to determine the injury.
Okay, babes, we can't hear this at all because you want to know what? We've got another wandering, walking asshole. His name is Hank, the skanky tank Brennan, and he is clearly doing like he's pacing, okay? He's a Harlem Globetrotter up in this bitch. Stay still, my friend. Stay at the podium. Anywho, he's asking Dr. Russell right now. He goes, hey, he's like, well, you said that sometimes people come into the hospital and they can't tell you how they got this injury, how this injury was sustained. And who has ever said to you they were injured by, or how did you ever depict that somebody was bit by a dog or was attacked by a dog when they couldn't tell you themselves? And of course, you're putting her on the spot for a case study, first and fucking foremost. Second of all, I'm not telling you shit because I personally wouldn't feel comfortable giving any qualifying in such a specific, case where, yes, she has dealt with several over her career. That could still be considered she was a treating physician. Your HIPAA doesn't end just because you are no longer a patient. HIPAA is forever, bitch. HIPAA is until that patient, even after they're dead, you can still get sued under HIPAA laws if you violate patient confidentiality laws. It is like in perpetuity, yeah. So, and there's like laws that apply to New York. There's laws that apply to California, Massachusetts, but I wouldn't be giving any real life examples of my patients that specifically fell under this category. But I did want to tell you a couple in which sometimes if we have a nonverbal patient come in, this it doesn't have to be somebody who is like, comatose, that's on life support, who, immediately is going to the ICU. There could be a cardiac event and they're brought in by themselves. They don't have anybody else to tell you what was going on. This could also be somebody that maybe has dementia and is so or has Alzheimer's and is so advanced that they are unable to speak. This could be somebody who is nonverbal autistic. So how dare you say that there would be examples where somebody was not able to tell you? How about also just for potentially somebody who uses American Sign Language and doesn't verbally communicate? There are plenty of times in which an emergency room physician is going to need to make a visual inspection and not be told by our patient exactly what happened and exactly what your injuries are. And you know what our job is? Her job, not mine. I'm just a helper. But her job is to figure it out. And she did. Every time, I'm sure.
I was always interested in dog bites, and yes, there were a few occasions when I had to use those skills in order to determine what kind of an animal it
Let's
was.
talk about those few occasions. Why don't you share with us a story where you met the patient, if you recall, where you had no idea what the English may have meant, no ability to communicate, about how you determined it wasn't on.
Well, thinking about a specific case, I can think of cases where I determined it wasn't a dog bite, it was something else based on the pattern of the bite. And am I not answering your question?
I'm not looking for cases where you couldn't determine the dog bite. I want you to share some of this wealth of experience you have in dog bites. And share with us, if you will, one of the cases where there was no information that it was a dog bite, for whatever reason, and then you, based on your pattern recognition skills, determined it was a dog bite. I want you to walk through an actual case you can recall you had with this scenario you presented.
I can't give you a specific case because, again, in the overall scheme of emergency medicine and the frequency that dog bites are to other cases, it's just not a case that I would remember that kind of the specifics of the case.
It's interesting in supporting your past experience. Share with us the size of these past experiences and presenting yourself as an expert in pattern recognition. And stressing that when I'm asking for details, it's what this general.
Objection, Your Honor, argument.
Yeah, so, oh,
I'm sorry,
counsel,
yeah.
that's okay. In Massachusetts, typically, we don't give the reason for objections from the floor. Your objection sustained.
Just a reminder, guys, I think you're full of shit up to your eyeballs, Judge Beverly Cannoni, because every other case or every other that I've ever seen from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they 110% did give their objections from the floor, i.e. Aaron Hernandez, huge trial. Let's go there. Baez was calling those babes out like it was his job. Next. I didn't like this because this is when I believe, in my humble opinion, that Hank Brennan starts kind of trying to get Dr. Russell flustered, right? He's trying to pick at her, nab at her. And all I'm thinking to myself is, why? What does that make sense? What are you doing here that you are talking to a woman with the experience, with, the years just of a general kind of respect that we should have for anybody that is like Dr. Marie Russell? I would feel that way towards even the prosecution witnesses that are, of stature and have, so many years of experience. When we look at another expert who was able to come in named Trooper Paul, who had an associate's degree and a 40-hour certificate course. Okay? And you're going to talk shit to my girl? Not on my watch, babe. I don't like your tone. It's upsetting to me. Cut it out. Also, for anybody of you or anybody out there who think that Dr. Russell hasn't dealt with men like Hank and his pencils for her entire life, her entire career, you are sorely mistaken. She has gone toe to toe with the egos of men her entire life and her entire career. Might I remind you that she was the first Malden female police officer? Men like Hank don't really ruffle her because she's a bad bitch in the best, it's queen. She's a queen. I can't even say that. She is the one. So I go ahead and try, but she's the one.
No commentary, Mr. Brennan.
You shared with the court that you wrote a few articles that had to do with dog bites.
Co-authored, yes,
Can I ask you some questions about those?
absolutely.
Thank you. Now, the first one I want to talk about is law enforcement canine dog bites. Do you remember that article?
Yes,
And that had to do with what you refer to as law enforcement dogs or canines.
yes,
In that article, you talk specifically about a technique that you believe law enforcement or canine dogs utilize, which is bite and hold.
yes,
And what you have suggested is that the bite and hold technique is different than typically a domestic dog or a civilian dog,
yes,
because it's a trained learning for the dog, correct?
yes,
There are certain injuries you would expect from a canine dog using a bite and hold technique.
yes.
When you wrote this or co-authored this article, you didn't actually sit down with people who had wounds and compare the wounds to the dog that caused them, did you?
To the actual dog?
Yes.
I didn't, but I didn't.
Just want to know if you did.
No.
Okay. And when you look at these different cases, there was 700 cases.
Now we're going to go just over here because I want to do this last part, babes, together, and then we'll do questions. Look at Lau. Look at Lau. Look at him in that second chair. Remember the last time we were talking about his sleeves, his fabric was saying, please, Lau, no more croissants. Just busting out like a can of biscuits, and he's sad. Look at that posture. I'm sorry. I almost, look at him, look at Hank and his pencils right behind me. And then we see Lau 6 hours and 10 minutes in. Poor little shit.
This brief CV on the top.
Okay. I'll ask you again.
Okay.
Did you mention anything in your CV
Mm,
about pattern recognition analysis in your described expertise in that?
No.
In your
why would
report,
she?
and let me ask you before we get to your report, you testified at a voir dire in this case
Yes,
about a year ago,
less than that.
and you then testified at trial.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. P.S. Hank, she didn't do a voir dire a year ago. She did it in June. Are you new? Still haven't done your summer reading? Why don't worry about your number 2 pencils and just maybe watch the trial.
When you testified in the voir dire and trial, and in your CV, you don't mention the scores of peer review articles on dog bites that you studied, do you?
Ask that question
I'm
again.
sorry. When you testified 2 times before,
Yes.
did you talk about the scores, as you describe it, of peer review articles that you've studied on dog bites?
On the numbers of period. No, I didn't mention that. That's correct.
Okay, and that's not mentioned in your CV either.
You don't usually mention it in your CV about the articles.
Yeah, you
read.
don't.
I'm asking if you did.
Oh, no, I wouldn't mention that in my CV.
Okay, so let's talk about it now since you didn't mention it. You read scores of peer reviewed articles on dog bites.
Throughout my career, yes.
Let's talk about the peer reviewed articles that you've studied on pattern recognition analysis of dog bites. Could you please give me a list of those peer reviewed articles that you studied?
I don't think there are any.
Well, you
There are some mentions of pattern recognition in some articles. However, I don't think there's a dedicated article on pattern recognition.
Oh,
Well,
let me just do
you
this,
said in your
James,
report
just
that you
because
did
this
these
is like
scores.
medical. We know how smart, we know she is the smartest and she is the prettiest. But let me tell you this. There are patterns in all wound care, in all of medicine, right? We look for, even if you have wounds and rash that could open up and become wounds from, let's say, shingles, we are looking for pattern recognition. That is going to be unilateral, one side of our body, and it usually goes along a nerve line, right? It can affect your eyes, up into your skull. It sometimes can, scalp rather. You can get it under your, sometimes your breast or, your pectorals, if you will. And that can go on one side, lower back to one side. Again, that's how we are able to do a diagnosis, is us seeing those pattern recognition. Another thing, in child abuse, we are looking for, at times, a hand mark, a fingerprints on a child. We know where to look for that. I also, I have a specific thing that I did not ever care for this patient, but I knew that it was a big deal at the hospital, was that there was a 18-month-old baby and he lived in a home where the home also had a boa constrictor, and the boa constrictor was in the closet. Okay. Allegedly, the boa constrictor got loose and wrapped around this baby, this 18-month-old. And by the grace of God, they lived. And unfortunately, their home was very unsafe. Their parents were quite neglectful, and they ended up going to a foster home. But those are things where, like, we have to do pattern recognition. You saw this, it was strangulation, but it came from a boa constrictor, and there was actually marks all over, bruising and ecchymosis all over that little one's body, but did live, so thank God. But we are always looking for patterns. That is how we are able to treat our patients the most effectively. How we are able to get a diagnosis in the quickest possible way and provide treatment as quick as humanly possible. Those are, pattern recognition is a key component in all of medicine, not just in wound care.
Scores of peer-reviewed articles on dog bites.
Dog bites, yes.
Okay, so those didn't really include pattern recognition as you've described your expertise today.
Some of them did, some of them didn't, but that might not have been the major focus of the article.
Which ones did? Can you reference us the ones that you've read and relied upon, in your opinion today, that have to do with pattern recognition analysis?
May I look at my report or my CV?
Of
Sure,
course.
sure. Go ahead and take your time, John.
Thank you. Okay, there is, and they might not have used the term pattern recognition, but that's what they're talking about. in these
Yes.
articles.
Okay.
Yes.
There's a article by D. Munick. It's actually listed in my report
Mm-hmm.
under literature.
Okay. I see it.
It's the third one. Yes,
And that deals with pattern recognition analysis?
it's part of the article. There was a lot more in the article than just pattern recognition. And again, they might not have used that specific term pattern, but it's what the subject was discussed in the middle of the article. Yes.
What was discussed in this article that you relied upon?
Oh, I relied on the descriptions of wounds. I relied on a lot of this article.
Well, share with us in detail. Could you tell us what you relied on in that article as part of your opinion?
Well, there was a description. There was an area that described wounds and fatal wounds in dog bites, and how to approach them. You know, how to investigate them. There was an area that described what some of these wounds look like. And there was actually an area that I believe it was this article that said that if you have this plus this plus this, that it is pathognomonic for a dog bite.
Ooh.
Now, it was, I believe that was the article that said that. One of these articles did, but anyways, so yeah, so I think maybe you might want to look at them.
Oh, I did.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking you.
Okay.
And so I'm confused about which one you're talking about.
Oh, I
There was not a
did.
recipe book that said, okay, you know, this is the pattern of a dog bite. It might not get a lot of readers for
No
that.
recipe
But
book.
this was a forensic approach as to how to identify fatal dog attacks.
So from your resume, doctor, could you tell me which article you're talking about?
I'm talking about the third one down.
What's the title?
The title of the article,
Now let's get to the book. We've got to see it.
the voir dire and in the trial. But I think I stated it wrong. I stated it as if I was talking to other doctors. You know, they say in medicine that nothing is 100% in medicine. That's what we learn, you know, when we go up through medical school and residency and whatever. And in my teachings, I always told people nothing is 100%. And that was the number that I was, you know, that I thought I was being asked for. Basically, it was 100%. So that's why I stated my opinion the way I did. But anyways, as I went through material again, I was convinced back then, and I am still convinced right now that these are caused by dog bites. And not only that, but dog attack.
If you were testifying honestly and earnestly before and you're using doctor speak, why would you?
If you are testifying honestly and earnestly, and you're using doctor speak, why would you need, let us all clutch our pearls for our Dr. Russell and say, Hank, I'm sorry. I think that we were able to find this right in our pocket. Sit on it and spin. Don't you ever say that to our queen, Dr. Marie Russell. I will clutch and clench, and then I'm going to hook a Hank. You frigga.
Change it for today, this report. Why not just continue to offer a natural, honest, thorough opinion?
I think I'd be a little itchy too.
I came up with this. I became clearer and clearer
Yeah.
every single time that I looked at the pictures, and I just realized that I understated the last time, that I misunderstood the question that was asked of me, you know, regarding my opinion, and so I felt that I had to be clearer.
Did anybody point out to you that it'd be more helpful to the defense case if you had a more assertive opinion?
No.
No, absolutely not.
So when you went through these days and months since the trial, did you get any new information that you looked at that made you realize you underscored the confidence in your opinion?
No.
Because in your earlier testimony, it's quite different.
I know.
I want to do this gently, but I want to go through some of that.
Okay.
Okay. When you first
It's not quite
testified,
different.
you had
And this is where I feel bad, because I think when he said, if you are honest and earnest, I think that hurt her feelings, right? And I know that she has dealt with this, you know, again, her entire career, but her testimony is not different, just because, like we talked about earlier, babes, going from possible to likely, she was coming at this from as a medical professional. She was not coming at this, I don't think, wearing her legal expert hat. And then as she wrote her opinion and she reviewed all the things, did her differential diagnoses, I mean, just kicked ass and took names. She motioned, like, you know, she maneuvered over to more likely versus possibly. Don't you let him tell you that it's changed. It hasn't, boo.
How should I say this? You offered opinions that were less than certain about the
She's not-
genesis and cause of the wounds, didn't you?
I think it sounded like I was not certain. However, I was certain. I just didn't express it correctly.
Yeah, I
When
hear you,
first testified
sister.
in the voir dire about some of these wounds, you were asked what kind of animal you thought caused the wounds, and you said, most likely a dog.
Correct.
You didn't say beyond a reasonable degree of dog bite certainty, did you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Well, it's also not beyond a reasonable degree, Hank. Sorry, you know, it's to a degree of medical certainty, to the highest degree of medical certainty, because you can't go beyond that, because that doesn't make sense. Okay. Oh.
Honor.
What's the basis of the
The
question?
objection is, he said beyond a reasonable doubt, and that
No,
was.
no, he didn't say doubt. He said degree of medical certainty.
There is no beyond
Yes,
a
beyond.
degree of
Right,
medical
beyond a
certainty.
reasonable degree of medical certainty. So I heard you
That's
didn't get
not
to the certainty, you
accurate.
just heard beyond reasonable and objected. So
Ugh.
based on that, the objection's overruled.
Let me phrase to make it clear. You didn't say to a reasonable degree of medical certainty that the bites you looked at were a dog.
I did in one of the okay, maybe in the next one. Okay, but yeah, if I wasn't asked about reasonable degree of medical certainty, I may not have expressed it.
The court herself asked you, do you know what kind of animal? And you
And
said,
she did.
yes, most likely a dog.
Oh, I feel like that's
Is that fair to say?
appropriate.
Yes,
So you didn't express certainty at that point.
yes,
Oh,
but
for
again,
Christ's sake.
thinking as a doctor and not
Yes.
a lawyer or a judge or someone. I'm thinking as a doctor. I'm thinking that it's never 100%, and so that's what I was going by. If I was going to be teaching medical students what those wounds were, you know, or you know, another group of wounds, I tell people never 100% in medicine. So that's where that came from, and I apologize if I confused the court.
Don't you
I don't think so.
apologize to anybody.
You use the word likely. The word possibly is even less certain than likely, isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, when you're a
Yes,
doctor,
it
you
is.
look at something and you say, well, the likelihood is this is the cause of this.
Oh yeah,
That
okay.
would be a stronger opinion than saying,
Well, and then she said, yeah, okay, you're right. I guess I'll give that to you. But our sweet angel is apologizing for her opinion and again stating very clearly why she came to that opinion the first go around and why she was kind of making her statements very measured. We are always taught to estimate conservatively. You never want to overshoot something in the event it does not turn out the way in which we had hoped, right? Like if you are giving somebody, I guess, let's say odds for your chemotherapy, you have a 50% shot, or do you want to, it could be 50 to 80% that this could be successful treatment. Are you going to tell somebody 50% or are you going to tell them 80%? We're always going to go with a conservative estimate, value, and opinion because that is medicine. That is, we practice medicine. It is not clear like guidelines and A plus B equals C. There are so many variables and we have to treat the whole person, our whole patient.
possibly this.
Correct.
Possible is even less certain, isn't it? At trial, when you were asked about the cause of the injuries, I'm going to quote you and I can show you if you'd like. It's the trial transcript, page 19, line 21. What you said is, I believe that these injuries were sustained by an animal, possibly a large dog because of the pattern injuries.
Yes,
Is that your testimony?
yes.
Very different.
How is it very
I'll just
different?
finish if I could. Very different than what you're opining today at this hearing.
I'm sorry that you think it is, and I can understand how you believe it is, but it's not.
It's not.
It's not different to me. I believed it was a dog. I was convinced it was a dog then, but going by the no 100% in medicine, I didn't say that. I am still convinced it's a dog. The one thing that's a little different is that it's an attack. I after counting the series of wounds and whatever, I am convinced not only was it a dog.
Ooh, listen to me. Don't be annoyed, Hank, that our doctor, Marie Russell, is answering a question. I know it could be, I know. God forbid she's not answering the way that you would like her to in your 1950s nasally fucking voice. But I'm going to need you to listen to her, and I'm going to need you to listen to her real good.
Striking once or twice, but it was actually multiple strikes by the dog.
Okay, now I want to get back to the testimony we were talking about, your testimony at trial under oath, okay? Your testimony is you believe they were sustained by an animal, possibly a large dog. You expressed uncertainty that you didn't even know or have an opinion about what type of animal caused these wounds at that time. Is that fair to say?
No.
I was leaving room for if there was for instance, another kind of animal in the vicinity that, but there's no evidence to that. There's no paw marks or anything in the ground.
What other animal do you think was in the vicinity that would have caused these?
Could have been a coyote, you
I don't know. I
fucker.
was just leaving that. Again, being a trained physician, there's no absolutes, and so
I thought it said needle stick.
No.
the way I approached it.
Did
I'm
you-
sorry if
Did you inquire to see more discoveries, to see if there was a pack of wild animals in 34 Fairview that would have caused this? Did you reach out to any of the witnesses or the lawyers and
A loose
ask
dog.
if there was any reports or information suggesting another animal?
I did not.
Were you curious?
I did not. I just didn't do it.
Okay. You were asked by Mr. Jackson, trial page 23, line 3. He provided the question, does this appear as it's a pattern injury that you see appear consistent with an animal or a large dog? And you said yes. So you included that this, again, could have been a dog or an animal in your opinion.
Mhm.
Yes?
I haven't.
So I'm sorry, we can't take a, we need a yes or no.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Again, at trial, page 23, line 6. You were asked, does the number of injuries that you see here relegated to just the right arm, is that consistent with an animal or a large dog? And you said, yes, it can be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to see your testimony? Because I don't want to just put words in your mouth.
No. I trust you.
And
No,
so the-
don't trust
so
him.
the question that you were asked was positing that it could have been not just a dog, but any animal. And you were agreeable to that at that time.
Like, again, thinking like a medical doctor, not a participant in a legal setting.
Not to belabor, but these are your words, so I want to talk to you about them. You were again asked, page 23, line 18, by Mr. Jackson, based on everything that we've discussed today, doctor, is it your opinion, based on a reasonable degree of medical certainty, that these injuries were from an animal attack, possibly a large dog? And you said yes. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so your opinions today that this was exclusively an animal attack caused by a large dog, that is much different in kind than the uncertainty and possibility that you admitted under oath during trial, in this case, the first time, or actually the second time you testified about it. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
It
No.
sounds like it. Yes.
Okay, I think this is a good point to stop because we need to get another date. You're not going to finish in 3 minutes, right? No, okay. All right, so District Art was the date you and I looked at.
All right, babes. And then we know that there is we're scheduled next for January 7th. And our angel face, Dr. Russell, will be back. I think overall, can I do this? I'm soloing me. Okay. Oh, she's a genius. I think overall that Dr. Russell is incredible. I think that she did a beautiful job. And we know that, right? We know that if anybody had problems with her testimony during the first trial, her voir dire through the first trial, she knocked this out of the park. She is more than qualified than any other physician in this trial. Okay. The only one who I would even give like a close second would be Dr. Renee Stonebridge. Why? Because Renee is quadruple board certified and she has, I believe, 18 years experience. She's a close second. Everybody else, Stugats, you got nothing, in my opinion, on our Dr. Marie Russell. And I do want to say that it's upsetting to me. It was almost sad when I'm watching this, as much as I'm like right behind her and I want to cheerlead for her and I want to tell her that I know that she knows she has it, but I just want to give her a big hug because I'm sad. I'm sad that the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has sunk to this level. I'm sad that at that first commercial or that first break we took at 11 o'clock in the morning, it was more than established that Dr. Marie Russell was 10 times over certified as an expert. There's no reason that she shouldn't be here, that she shouldn't be able to provide her medical opinion because she's given her life to medicine and to patients, and she clearly is qualified. That's my opinion. Oh, Gazzo, yes. And Peaches gets it. We get it, babe. Oh, just asked. You're outraged. I'm sorry. And Bev's Saiba. I get it. All right, babes. Let's go through that. Let's go through our little, our little starry things. Hello, Sakami. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And Joseph Kane, you spoil me. I can't even handle it. Stop giving out unconsensual memberships to my people. People take them. See, nosy around a little bit. See if you like it. If you don't, I feel ya. But could be cool. Then taking the red eye. We already talked about this. We're going to figure out how, if we should go through, like maybe we could send him to Mr. Yanetti's law office, or if we could look up, I don't know if it's like appropriate to like look up where, we'll get back on that, but I'd love to send her one too. And Joe Nanas, thank you so much for the super sticker, said Kathy Bates in the movie. I'm so excited for your stream. Wild on Wounds style. Wild on Wounds? Stop it. Are we, have you seen me? What are we doing? Have you ever been to a conference that I've presented at? Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. And then we have PTSD healer. Thank you so much, Lovey, for your super sticker. Says she did a fellowship in forensic pathology. This is highly specialized. If you know, you know. Yes, she did, babe. And Cheyenne Brown, thank you so much for your super sticker, love. I feel like everyone is forgetting here. Why is Hank worried about what animal Dr. Russell said in the first trial? Isn't their theory that a car made those marks to the arm? Are they now defending Chloe? Cheyenne, that is incredible. Oh my Christ. Okay, so for trial one, it was all like attempting to debunk third-party culprit. Are we now going to try to debunk Chloe in trial two? Great thought. Joseph Kane gave another 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm blacked out right now. 9 total Nurse Kim non-consensual memberships. I hope you like them, people. If you don't, talk to Joseph Kane. He's a wild man. And then Christine, thank you so much for the super sticker. Is this real life? This can't be this. Joseph Kane gave out another 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. If there is more, I'm going to black out. Thank you. Joseph Kane for the 16 non-consensual memberships. 16 people are going to wake up tomorrow, new people. They don't know who they are. Will I have number 2 pencils sent to you? No, I won't. Okay? Because we hook a Hank. All right? But we could think of something froggy. I'm going to put something back there. Let's show you what's going on behind the curtain. The Wizard of Oz. The Nurse Kim of Oz. Okay. Thank you, Joseph Kane. You are the best. Thank you for being 50% of my male constituency. I love you. You know that. And then Betty Millen. Thank you so much for becoming a new member, Lovey. And then, oh, Jeno, aren't you the best? You are. Thank you for telling me I'm the smartest and the prettiest, and you are as well. And I will friend you back on the X. And then Kelly said, Nurse Kim, did you see the part of the shirt that actually looked like a bloody paw mark? I screenshotted it because hadn't seen it before today. No, babe, I haven't. I haven't, but you know who has told me about this? Her name is OB. She also is known as Bob from the select board meeting. And she has told me, she said, listen, I've seen a paw. And I said, send it to me. You know what she didn't do? She never sent it to me. So I think that OB has the paw print too. And I'm going to send her a non-consensual text message and ask her to please send it to me. But thank you for reminding me and telling me about it. And Nelson Calderon said, what is Lally doing there? He got replaced. What is he doing? I think he's pretty sad, babe. Look at him. He's thinking about his life. He's thinking about some choices that he has made. He's maybe thinking about what he's going to have for supper. I'm not sure what he's thinking, but he's just sitting there, second chair and all, just struggling in that blue suit. That navy suit is screaming for mercy. Non-consensual wearing. Okay? And PTSD healer says, who calls ortho to ED for consult? Oh, sorry. That's medical jargon and funny. Hank is a dope. ED is a specialty, organized chaos. Babe, that's hilarious and so true. Could you imagine paging fucking ortho? Get a life. That's so funny. Susie CJ says, Spanky showed the schmuck he really is. He had zero reason to treat this doctor with a condescending tone, especially the caliber of specialists on the CW. Yes, on the Commonwealth side. Did we hear her gasp? Susie, thank you so much for that super sticker. And I did. I heard my sweet angel, Marie Russell, Dr. Marie Russell to me, gasp, because you go call my girl a fibber? Listen, she could be a lot of things. You could say a lot if you wish, but a fibber is not one of them. And then I feel protective. And what do I want to do? I want to hook a Hank. And then love a Romy with cheese says, I'm surprised Hank didn't ask Dr. Russell if she read Cujo. Come on, Hank. You're being redonkulous. Oh, babes, while I'm at it, I have to tell us, I have to tell you because I won't be able to sleep if I am not sharing so I got the references that they used in that. Have you read the dog book? I was wondering if you read the dog book that I found on fucking Amazon. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, no one cares. But here was just a couple. Air Bud was a reference from 1997, directed by Charles Martin Smith, Walt Disney Pictures, Warner Brothers. Then we can go down to nope, that wasn't one that I thought was funny. Where is? I think we've got, oh no, that one isn't that great. Poltergeist, 1982, a film directed by Toby Hooper, SLM Production Group, Metro Golden Mayer, United States. Then we also have Rottweiler, a 2004 film directed by Brian Yunza, Castello Productions in Spain. Then we also have The Omen, a 1976 film directed by Richard Donner, 20th Century Fox. Then we also have Tyrannosaur, a 2011 film directed by Paddy Castledane in Studio Canal, United Kingdom. Any others? Nope. Well, that's it for this one. And I think they have the daily. Oh, just kidding. One more. Stop it. Pet Food Manufacturers Association, 2014, a commercial. Okay. So just in case we had a couple of questions about what maybe was covered in this book called Dog Bites. Okay. Not written by one doctor, not a PhD anywhere, but we've got some amazing references. Okay. Look it up yourself. It's right on the Amazon.com. I live on another planet. Okay. And Joseph Kane, thank you so much, Lovey. Say hello to Ginger Chai. She is smarter than me. Oh, I'm sorry. Ginger, you are everything. What are you doing? What are you wearing? You look like you just were a small teddy bear. And then you were transformed into a dog. You love to play outside. You also dig holes. I know you do, you little freshie MacGyver. I love that about you. You think you want to put a bone in there, but you never do. You're so silly, Ginger. I love you. Then Susie CJ said, if we feel annoyed with Spanky, I can imagine a jury. Touche. Very smart of you. Then Diane G said, Hank Brennan, lots of smoke, no fire. We could also say that about our Lallygagga. Then we've got Couch Potato said, who let the dogs out? Who? I love it. And Sunshine, thank you so much for your super sticker. Ryan F. Ooh, gosh, I cannot handle, and you know how I feel about the pups in clothing. Did Keno get his Xmas bonus from the factory? Love you, Nurse Kim. Ryan, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Keno has worked at the factory for 4 years now. Jeff, his manager, he shows no mercy, and he also claimed that the profits have gone down in the second and third quarter this year. Therefore, ergo, no one got a Christmas bonus. Listen to me. I ended up making cookies, okay? I made some gingerbread cookies, a couple of dozens of chocolate chip cookies for the kids' school. Was going to make a tin, send it into Jeff. Wouldn't have made a difference, okay? Keno's been working his little paws to the bone. Nothing. He didn't even get a gift card, not a $5 gift card to the Dollar General. I don't know if we should potentially file something against the Better Business Bureau, but this is insanity, and it's gone on for too long. He works so hard every day. Sorry, Ryan. That's my dog, guys. If you don't know, I always say, hey, when I'm done work, I tell my dog that he's had a long day at a factory, and I don't know why. And we make up stories about how his day at the factory went. That makes sense to you. You might see more of it behind in the non-consensual membership groups. Okay. Have the best night. And look at, and listen, if I do not see our babes dressed up in, I need a jingle jangle. I need a Christmas hat immediately. Okay. And Diane G said that dude with the stadies that lost his vacation time, Yuri. Yeah, he's super annoying to the other troopers. Ooh. I agree. And also Rich was in the chat earlier who had just had his felony witness intimidation to AKA due to the rubber duckies being put somewhere within two football fields of the downtown of Canton. And I think that Yuri specifically spent a lot of time going to different towns and questioning people on rubber ducky adjacent criminal activity. And then we see this. Then we see, look at, I feel intimidated by these number twos, babe. Okay? Hank, get your shit together. This is uncomfy. Okay? This is giving mental, instability. And why? And also, if they were all lined up, that would make me feel more comfortable. But you have to have this rogue son of a gun get out of town. I don't know. Some have said, look it up in a DSM-5. How someone holds a group of number twos while sitting next to his number two and number three. I don't know. Okay, babes. So that is it. Oh, and look at Jen Murphy knows. She's like, I didn't say it. You did. Then it's giving the finger for us. Thank you, God. It is. Right? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, Hank, look at, I'll meet you. I'll raise you. Okay. I find you one and raise you another. Is Laura praying? She sure is. And now let's pray with Laura. Okay. Laura, please, God, give Hank the ability to see that this case was not tried appropriately in trial number 1. Dear God, please let that chip on. Why haven't we heard anything from the chip on, by the by? I don't know. Awkward, because it was done on the 5th and today's the 12th. So I want some info, because there are specific Commonwealth supporters who believe that that chip on is going to be, that's the smoking gun. And guess what I think, babes? I think it's going to, if it gives a date and time stamp, we're not going to trial in April, for April Fool's Day. We sure as shit aren't, because you want to know why? Because that date and time stamp is not going to be 12/32 or 45, depending on which asshole is telling you. And, or if it's the beginning or the end of a trial, you know what I mean? And then it also is going to be based, I think that it will give the actual date and time stamp, and Karen Read will be found not guilty. Just my opinion. So in his name we pray. Thank you, Laura. Laura, have you prayed, babe, that you're hoping that maybe you could say a word this trial? Do you want to? Because I think you do better than probably chair 1 and 2. I don't know. Give her a whirl. See what she can do. She's thinking about her life and her decisions. Every day she walks in and sees these two asshats. She says to herself, Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sins now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And she says, I only need to do this for 2 more years and then I can get out. I can get away. I don't know where she's going in 2 years. Hopefully to Middlesex County. Go somewhere else, babe. Oh, look at this. Makes sense. Ready? Red Eye LAX to Boston says MSP lost the infotainment. LOL. There was no chain of custody. Yeah, that would be very on brand. Okay, babes. Well, listen, I hope that was helpful. And I know that it probably wasn't. And I also had technology issues, and I also blacked out. Then I pinked out the screen. Then, my children pirated the internet. I had to plug it into the actual wall. What the actual F? But we made it through this stream. You are the best. I am obsessed with you. You know this, okay? All of you. I am not going to harass your screen so that you don't have to see me all the time. But if anything comes up or you want me to talk about anything, just give me a heads up and I'll be sure to FaceTime you again, because I get really excited that you answer my FaceTimes at all. And I love your faces, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay. Bye, guys.